You're here. You found us. This is week 7. We're moving into week 7. This is the end of week 6 with 2 games tonight. Don't know why they keep doing this to us, but it's just how it's going to be. I'm Jason Draven. Here's Mike with me. How's it going, Mike?
Going well, going well. It's not over yet. We got 2 Monday night games next week, and we got the staggered starts. Where it's 3 hours apart. So they're like I said, they're making this a thing. International games, Monday night games. Double headers. So hopefully it's the last one of the year, but who knows? We don't know. It could be another one. They sneak in, but I'm doing all right. Lots of injuries, lots of receivers to talk about. So we keep trucking along. We're about halfway there as the Bills score a touchdown.
Yeah, it's ugly. I don't know why they keep doing this to us, but they seem to like it. I like it. I think I'm going to like next week more because they have it split, which I always enjoy. That weird separation makes it feel like 2 games instead of just 1. It makes it feel a lot less stressful. But just how I feel about it. Are you liking the 2 games?
Not really. I prefer just 1, to be honest. I don't mind the one like you said next week, where it's it's a 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock if you're West Coast, or 7 and 10. It's pretty late on the East Coast. 10 o'clock to start a game is pretty late. But if you live in the best time zone, like Mountain Time Zone for sports, it doesn't matter. It's perfect. But yeah, I like next week's schedule a little bit more rather than. So we got 2 like intriguing games this week. I feel like I kind of want to watch both, but it's gonna be hard to do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely just seeming like it's going to be. I mean, it's fine. That's what it really comes down to. It's fine. All right, but people aren't here for that. Let's talk about our pickups for the week, who we like, who we don't like, and as always, we're going to start with none other than quarterback, and shouldn't be surprising to anybody because I keep touting this person. Sam Darnold, still too widely available, gets a great matchup this week. He is 27.3% rostered, which is kind of low with how well he's been playing. He's been doing it very much under the radar, and of course, this week, the Seahawks, like I guess I shouldn't say just this week, but overall, the Seahawks have been playing very well. Their defense has really shocked me like crazy. I've been super impressed with how they've been playing. But just for example, they get to play the Texans this week, and the start this past week, the first 100 and some odd yards were Sam Darnold just throwing it to Jackson Smith and Jigba over and over again, which is what you're supposed to do when you have a player of that caliber. So I really like him as an option this week. And against the Texans, I know they're coming off a bye. I'm not too worried about that. But the other guy I'm looking at is a lot more risky. But Dylan Gabriel, widely available, 6.1% rostered. I know he's been looking a little better, but he gets to play the Dolphins, who are going to be able to move the ball and put up and score. Somehow the Browns are favored by 2.5 points. I'm curious to see how that ends up breaking down, but those are the 2 quarterbacks that I'm looking at specifically for this week as a streamer for you. I think Darnold is also a long-term play, but those are who I'm looking at. Who are you looking at, Mike?
I mean, Darnold QB 11 on the year, and he had a bad week 1, but other than that, he's been awesome. And awesome in terms of just consistently good. Last 2 weeks have been really good, but even before that, 16 or more points. So take out week 1, which week 1's always a little weird. He's been awesome. So I like that call. Jackson Dart, I threw on there. I mean, we got to throw him on there. He's rushed for over 50 yards in 3 straight games. He's on a 17-game pace of 950 rushing yards. So do I think he's going to continue that? Not quite, but again, this isn't crazy to think it could continue because he was kind of a rusher in college too. He had a 600 or 700 yard rushing season. So, 2 rushing touchdowns, over 150 rushing yards in 3 games since taking over as the starter in week 4. He's a top 10 quarterback in both total points and points per game. So does have a really tough matchup. I'm not sure if I would trust them this week against the Broncos. Broncos have been good. They're probably one of the best defenses. I think they've played 2 rushing quarterbacks as well, and neither of them had done too hot. Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields this last week. So maybe they know how to control. I mean,
Well,
Fields ran
do
for
you count
31
Daniel
yards.
Jones as a rushing quarterback? Because that's like the third
Yeah,
one potentially that they've also
yeah,
kind
he's
of
up there.
corralled.
Yeah, Jones has been like more. I feel like red zone rushing than like actual like Are we relying on Jones to rush for 30 yards each week? I'd say no. I mean, he hasn't once this year. So, but you could throw him in there because it helps the stat that they corralled him to. So, whatever fits your narrative, right? So we'll take that. But as a long term play with Jackson Dart, I don't mind it. He just needs to stay healthy. That's all. He gets run over and takes a lot of hits. So, and then JJ McCarthy, could be coming back here potentially. So keep him in your minds as well. Like is he going to play? Is he going to kind of return to what we were seeing? I wanted to throw him out there as well. So both those guys are pretty widely available. I think Dart is still under like 40%.
Yeah. So, I guess I should have mentioned this. These is pretty much for the people who play Josh Allen and Lamar slash whoever at this point, because they also put in Huntley this week. So,
Yeah.
For those who had those players, you won't have them this week. You also won't have any of your Bills or Ravens. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what you're looking for. Don't love it, but of them, I think I go Sam Darnold first.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree. And
Um,
do look ahead. Isn't week 8 a apocalypse or NATO, whatever they
yeah,
call it?
it,
Like it's
it's
the
it's
big bye
coming
week.
up.
So
I think it's week 8 and like week 11. I'm pretty sure there are the two big ones, but
yeah, maybe plan a week ahead. So it's never a bad idea to do that. If there's going to be a lot of competition for quarterbacks or whatever. So might need to plan ahead if your QB's on a bye.
yep. All right. Well, covered the quarterbacks. We'll move into run. Well, just kidding. Brian Whitlock coming in hot. Do we like Debo or Bill tonight? I'm guessing he's looking for a flex. That's gonna be an interesting one.
Bill or Debo?
Yeah.
Man, that is an interesting one. I think I'd still go Debo. Um, I know if there was no injury concern with Debo, I think it's easy Debo, right? Like
Yeah.
he's been
Yeah.
awesome this year, but there's that injury concern. I think I still go Debo. I mean, he's playing. What's your situation here? Are you needing how many points? Do you need a big game? Do you need, just like a 10-point game or something and you win? If you only need like 8, 10 points, maybe just go Bill
Yeah.
and just like
I
bank
think
on
that's
him
very
getting that.
doable for Bill. Guessing he's going to
Yeah.
score at least once.
Hmm.
So I think that really helps boost him up quite a bit. But like Mike's saying, if you're looking for the upside, you have to roll Debo. Debo's the one who can make a big play and score and get you 13 on one play, kind of a player. So
Yeah. Yeah. Both good options. But if you're really nervous about that injury, then just go Bill and hope it works, Personally, I think I'd still go Debo though if I need more than 13-ish points or so.
yeah.
I think I'd still go Debo, especially in like PPR or half.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll move into running backs. And I'm going to go with Tajay Spears, 33.7% rostered. This week he actually outsnapped Pollard, and I think that's going to happen a lot moving forward. As long as he's healthy, this team is going to be constantly chasing points. They also lost, potentially, we'll see how long he's out, Ridley, and that's going to be very interesting to see how that works because, again, it's a player that they're going to use in the passing game a lot more. They want to also spell Pollard quite a bit, and when they're chasing, he definitely offers more upside. So I'm very curious to see how that ends up working out for him. Then the other player I'm going with is Brashard Smith, because they didn't really seem to talk about it. He's 8.9% rostered, but in the game, Kareem Hunt sustained an injury. They haven't brought it back up yet, but that was the reason that Pacheco had such a big game. And if he's going to be out for a longer period of time, I think Smith offers a lot of upside. And so definitely somebody I'm looking at and very curious to see if that's actually the case, if Hunt's actually dealing with something, because they took him out and Pacheco really took over. And so moving forward, I think specifically this week, Smith could see a lot of run against the Raiders. So that's who I'm looking at. Who are you moving to, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, we got to talk about Kamani Vidal. Like, I think what we learned yesterday is like don't buy into just these reports of like this player is gonna start, or Bam Knight is gonna play over Michael Carter, and then Michael Carter plays every snap of the first drive, or and same thing here with like Vidal versus Haskins. A lot of people probably took Vidal out of their lineup potentially because of that, and but he was awesome. Now it is the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are like the team to target for running backs. Like, man, they are terrible. But Chargers offense, they're gonna run the ball. Vidal kind of liked his profile coming out of college, and 6th-round pick, and maybe he's getting his opportunity. Sounds like Hampton is going to miss more than the 4 weeks of the IR. So we could have something here with Vidal. So he definitely needs to be picked up if he's still out there, which in a lot of leagues he is. He's still under 30%. So love to see that. And then again, we talk about backups and handcuffs. There's not a whole lot of running backs to go for. So, guys like Kendre Miller, Isaiah Davis, who's handcuffing Breece Hall. Dylan Sampson is probably handcuffing Judkins. Like, it's handcuffs, you go out and pick them up. We see it every single week. Vidal, Rico Dowdle, Michael Carter, these handcuffs, when they get their opportunity, they're startable right away. You just plug them in and they're good. So, not a whole lot if you need for next week, I'd say, but more just like long-term stuff here.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely agree. I was actually off because I was telling people to play Haskins, but that was also because I did not expect the Chargers to be chasing points. When it came to the goal line, and it was Haskins, and so I thought they would at least score once or twice, and so Haskins was going to pay off that way. But Vidal, if they're in passing situation, seems to be the one who has the most explosive play. They were going back and forth until Vidal broke that big run. I think his first big one was 38 yards or 39 yards. And so at that point, he really just took over. And that game was really a back and forth the entire time. And I just wasn't expecting that. I was really thinking the Chargers would get up and, I don't know, be able to score a touchdown until like the first half. Just, nah, not worth it.
That's expecting too much.
But this week is a short week. We're playing the Colts Thursday, so gonna be quick. That is this week, right? Or is that next week? I think it's this week.
They're playing the Colts, but it's actually Sunday.
Oh, it
Thursday
is Sunday?
is the Vikings game. Is week 8.
So we get a Sunday night game then? Or am I crazy?
No, Sunday afternoon.
Oh,
Sunday
I was like, I
afternoon.
could have sworn it was a game I was actually going to get to watch because it was like a day that was separated. And so, well, all right. Oh, Tamara coming in a little late, but we got you. Would you pick up Dart over Caleb Williams or Daniel Jones in a guillotine league for future use? I've been consistently in the top 3, but with buys coming, I'm considering snagging him while he's a free agent.
I want those other 2 guys, I think, over Dart.
Yeah, I mean, it would really depend. I don't know off the top of my head when their buys are. Let me pull that up real quick, because depending on who each other is playing during the buys, I know Caleb should be fine, but if the Colts have a buy that is more substantial of uptick for Dart, I'd probably want to do that. Where are the Colts? Okay. Colts have their buy in week Super Irving TV 11.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, we're then looking at. Oh man, they've tied up already.
I just feel like with guillotine leagues,
You kind of have to play week by week.
Yeah, and also like, aren't there going to be better quarterbacks hitting the waiver wire later on, like as teams get eliminated and stuff? I don't know. Like, I feel like I'd be a little bit nervous. Like, I'm not starting Jackson Dart this week over Caleb or Daniel Jones. 100% not. And so and I don't even know if I would at any point this year, unless Jackson Dart continues to rush for 50 yards a game or something, then maybe it would be hard to ignore. But I don't know. I just feel like there's always going to be a good amount of quarterbacks on the waiver wire there.
Yeah, so the Bears
those type
face
of leagues.
off against the Vikings in Week 11. Oh, no. Golly, that's bad, too. Nope, you're going to stay away from Dart because Dart plays Green Bay in Week 11. So I'm not super confident on that.
Yeah.
Don't really like either of them, but you'll just, unfortunately, I'd stick with what you have. But, all right.
No, I agree.
Well, with that, we'll move into wide receivers.
Whole bunch.
Dudes who keep getting injured. Yes, everybody keeps getting injured. So that's also in guillotine leagues. It is kind of important to budget. It's not ideal, but you definitely kind of have to budget your way through those leagues. It's not an ideal situation for sure. But okay, into wide receiver because my guy is still too widely available. Because people dropped him this week. Kendrick Bourne, 24% rostered, way too low. Keeps blowing up. Of course, Jennings comes out. Everybody freaks out. I still tell everybody to play Bourne because he's healthy-ish. He's more healthy than Jennings, and then Jennings, after the game, has a sore ankle and 5 broken ribs or dislocated ribs or whatever he said. I don't really care, but Kendrick Bourne right now is on a heater. You can't sit the man. And until something changes, you're going to roll him out pretty much every week. It's going to be hard for me to see him being sat at any point moving forward.
And he sorry, real quick, his best season of his career is Mac Jones's rookie year in New England. So, he this is not just out of nowhere. 55 for 805 for Kendrick Bourne in 2021. So there's a connection there for sure. Of course Purdy might come back, but still good.
Yeah, and the way he's playing, it's crazy. And I'm going to keep bringing up the name because Isaiah Bond is also too widely available. He is the second wide receiver for the Browns, which I know isn't saying a whole lot, but with all of the dangers around everybody else, Bond is getting out there. Njoku's now dealing with injury, and Dylan Gabriel is throwing death balls. And so it's going to be a short lifespan for all these wide receivers or pass catchers in Cleveland while that's happening. But if they keep making good business decisions, the opportunities are going to be there. I mean, he threw 52 times this week. I'm pretty sure was his a final number. So if you're throwing 52 times, you have the opportunity to be somebody special. So, and it really, it's going to be just fine. The other guy I'm looking at is Cam Johnson. Talking about injuries all over the place, you're looking at the Buccaneers because Egbuka went down. Godwin's still struggling with injury. And the next guy who seemed to pop up was Cam Johnson running the second most routes and second most snaps on the team. So going to be curious to see how that ends up breaking down moving forward. But that's where I'm landing. Where are you landing, Mike?
Yeah, there's not many people, when I see 0% rostered that I believe that. There has to be someone out there. Cam Johnson, I definitely, believe that, though. He's not even rostered in, deep dynasty leagues and stuff. So, yeah, there's a lot of good options at wide receiver. I mean, Kayshawn, Booty, he's going to have games like this. It might be hard to rely on it. I'm not suggesting to chase it necessarily, but if you're in these heavy bye weeks over the next few weeks and you need all right, I just need if Booty gives me 16 points, I might have a chance at winning or something. He's always going to be in play for that just because he's out there all the time and he can catch bombs from Drake May. So I'll throw him out there. Alec Eilmanor with the Ridley injury could be a good one to pick up. Alec Pierce is kind of like a Kayshawn Booty play. That guy who's literally out there all the time, so you're going to get games of big games and stuff like that. I haven't really had a big Alec Pierce game, but we know it's coming.
Well, he'd also been injured the past couple of weeks too, which knocked him out because Mitchell, of course, was the replacement in then he fumbled, and so they made him a healthy scratch
Yeah.
this week. So
Yeah.
that's how that
Yeah.
works.
It's a thank you, but no thanks. Um, Tej Johnson is the other Buccaneers receiver that could see some more work. I mean, he's
He caught
he's
the
an
touchdown.
interesting one. Yeah, he had a lot of hype like in college, and then he kind of didn't test out super well, and he's very very small, and so people got scared away from him, and he fell in the draft and stuff like that. But I still think he's like very talented of a player. Might be hard to rely on, but someone to keep an eye on there. Jordan Whittington could be taking over. He was already the wide receiver two for the, or excuse me, wide receiver three for the Rams, and now you have the Puka injury. I feel like he fills the Puka role a little bit more than like a Tutu Atwell if he's injured or healthy. They have a couple other guys there, but I think Whittington, who played in 92.5% of the snaps in Week 6, could be the candidate to kind of get some of that workload that Puka is leaving for the next week or two. I don't know. Luther Burden, I'll throw him out there again. They play tonight. They're coming off the bye week. I kind of half looked at like this whole rookies do better once their team comes back after a bye, and I didn't really find too many examples. I didn't really find an example of it. I think it's more of just like as the season progresses, rookies get more acclimated and more comfortable. So who knows? Luther Burden, I think, is also very talented. Do they start to get him involved a little bit more into this offense, and he starts to take away some snaps from Olamide Zaccheaus? We'll see, and you'll hear another Bears rookie that I'll basically just like rinse and repeat for that. So in the next section.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to bring it up because I want to get your thoughts on it too. So Marvin Harrison was knocked out. Do you have any interest in any Cardinals? Because it seemed like Zay Jones
Man.
was the one who kind of took over, played the most snaps, ran the most routes, saw 7 targets,
Yeah.
and it's potentially another week with Brissett. So
Yeah. I guess I would go Zay Jones. Or yeah, I don't know. I guess I would go Zay Jones. I mean, Michael Wilson's another option. I don't feel great about it. I hope they just like Trey McBride gets 20 catches. That's what I really, really hope for. So, but yeah, I guess it would be Zay Jones if I were to choose someone.
Oh, I didn't even look. Did we mention Bam Knight?
No, I didn't mention him. I don't know. Like,
That's another player you might want to look at for running back. My bad.
yeah, I mean, Michael Carter, if he's out there, like, the problem is it's a 50-50 split now with those two guys. And so I don't like either one. If like I barely like one of them when they're playing 70%. I definitely don't like either one when they're splitting.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm gonna avoid that backfield, in my opinion. So
All right.
I'll just pick up like unless I desperately need a start, and that's like the best option.
The other name I'm going to bring up is Wilson. They said it's going to likely be a couple of games. So, do you have any interest in any Jets wide receivers? I think the top one, Josh Reynolds, is the one who stepped up and has been, since he came back, has been running the second most routes. Ran the most routes this week, clearly, because Wilson got beat up and wasn't a great matchup for him anyway.
Yeah, it's probably Josh Reynolds again. Don't really love it to be honest, but if you're desperate, I mean, so they still have what like Alan Lazard is there? He's healthy, right?
I'm not sure if he's out
he was
playing
out.
yet. He hasn't.
Yeah, no, he was out this last week, so
like,
he might not be healthy.
He'd
Arian,
been on IR,
Arian
so I wasn't
Smith.
sure if he'd been activated back yet or not.
Yeah, Arian Smith is another. He's a rookie. He's playing a decent amount, about 55-60% of the snaps. I'll probably just avoid it. Maybe Mason Taylor. We should add him to the next list. Maybe we
Yeah,
we'll
that
talk
was a name
about.
I was going to bring up because part of why I brought the Jets up last, I was like, I'm going to kind of push our way through this. I guess the other thing, you brought up Imaner. With Ridley out, the next guy up behind him is going to be Van Jefferson. That's another name I'm going to talk about just briefly as somebody to kind of know. because I do think that it could be valuable because this team is good, so they're gonna have to throw,
Yep.
and it doesn't really matter who it's against. But yeah, all right. Out of wide receivers. Oh, Tamra. Yes, give me some sort of hope for the Cards. We're used to this though. Yeah, probably a little bit. It's been kind of brutal for you. All right. Into tight ends though. Aronde Gadsden, 1.8% rostered. Chargers had their full allotment of players. They do not have anybody to protect Herbert, so he just keeps having to do Herbert things, and because of that, Gadsden's going to be the beneficiary. He's the one catching the passes. And then with QJ, that was a recent pop-up. So another name we didn't talk about is Trey Harris, who kind of stepped in for QJ while he was out. But again, we'll have to wait and see on that. But Gadsden was the beneficiary, in my opinion. And then also talking about people who got hurt, David Njoku. So with him being hurt, Harold Fannin really stepped up, saw a good amount of snaps, played and scored, of course, 34.6% rostered. Got to have him on your team, especially if you had any kind of issues with, or if you had Njoku, definitely somebody you want to look at.
Yeah.
I like your picks
Yep.
because they're all like players that are short-staffed when it comes to pass-catching options.
Yeah. So that I just added Mason Taylor, K-Dot into Mason Taylor. So we're not overly excited about these wide receivers on the Bucks or the Jets, and so what does that mean? Maybe their tight ends are who we should be targeting, right? K-Dot and Mason Taylor, both guys are going to be playing a lot. They can catch passes. We've seen them. I started Mason Taylor this last week. It was obviously very, very disappointing. But we saw him before that have 25 targets in 3 weeks. So he might get a good amount of targets. Kate Otten is the same. He plays a lot. He could be a low end tight end one for the next couple of weeks while these Buccaneers wide receivers are injured. I believe Kate Otten had a stretch last year where he was middle of the season. Yeah, middle of the season last year, Kate Otten, 7, 8, 9. He had 10 targets, 8 catches, 100 yards, 10 targets, 9 catches, 81 yards, 11 catches, 11 targets, 8 catches, 77 yards. He had 3 touchdowns in those games. I assume those were games when Mike Evans and Godwin, I think, was out by that time. I think that's right around when Godwin got hurt, and then Evans missed some time. So, yeah, those are players. He's someone definitely I want to be looking at. And then Colston Loveland, basically everything I said with Luther Burden. Do they start to get Loveland more involved? So we'll see. I think he's a talented rookie, but might not be his year. But who knows? He could start breaking out.
Yeah, it's just when it comes to tight end, there's a reason we think you can stream it, and it's because all these players are available. I mean, same thing with wide receiver at this point. If you're looking at streamers, there seems to be a lot of good ones coming up and a lot of talented players because of all the injuries that are just stacking up. So, all right, out of tight end, into defenses, and the only one I want to bring up is a Kansas City Chiefs versus the Raiders. They're 32.1% rostered, and the Raiders have been one of the best matchups for defenses. So with that in mind, that's kind of where I'm leaning. Do you have any defenses that you wanted to throw on, or are you going to stick with Steve's lovely basic one?
Yeah, I mean, anyone against the Titans is working. The problem is that the Patriots are playing the Titans, and they're over that 50% threshold. So they're still only 62%. So if they're out there, I would pick them up. Rams is a nice one, 44.5%. I think they're a top 5 defense this year. So I might just go with, there's not a lot of target this matchup type of, it's not that type of week this week, I feel like, I mean, maybe you want to go Browns against the Dolphins or something if they're available, but there's not a lot of great options here. Packers are probably heavily rostered. So I don't know, not a whole lot of great options here. So I might just take a good defense in the Rams and play in Jacksonville.
All right. Well, with that, do you have any parting words you want to give us lovely insight on, or?
No, I mean, I think we got another early Europe game next week, and then I think we're done for either the rest of the season for a bit. I don't know what their plan is there, but so yeah, I think there's another one in November. But anyways, no, it's been fun, and keep on rolling. Hopefully, get you guys the dub from tonight's games.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to be out of here. Thank you all so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Always have a good time. And I know it's tough when there's 2 games on a Monday. You don't want to watch us, but we're here kind of trying to help you somewhat. But again, have a good week. Good luck in week 6 since we're ending tonight. Hopefully you get your wins tonight. Big potential there. Otherwise, on to week 7. And remember, as always, to keep up the nonsense. Have a good week.